Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
If you wanted to add to the Rangers' mantra, never ever quit, well, we'd like to suggest, who's the hero tonight? You already know your Rangers always battle, but it seems like there's a different clutch performance every night. This club takes pride in the roster-wide contributions, and it shows on the field and now in the standings as well. Tonight, they look to keep the homestand perfect when they meet the Astros, and it's next on Fox Sports Southwest. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. Another beautiful evening at Globe Life Park as the Astros in town for yet more baseball. Rangers and Astros, game 3 of this 4-game series, a series that has seen the Rangers take the opening 2 games both by 1-run decisions. Hello again, folks. Welcome in. I'm Dave Raymond with Tom Grieve. Excited for game 3, if for no other reason. Things have been going great for the Rangers, and today they turn it over to you, Darvish.
It's nice to have 1-2 and then have you, Darvish, start the 3rd game. Yu's making his 3rd start. He had a very successful rehab minor league stint. His first 2 starts have gone well. He's thrown 85 to 90 pitches in both starts, 5 innings in one, 5 and a third, 5 and 2/3 in the other. Total, he's walked 2 batters and struck out 12. His command has been good. His fastball velocity has been as good or better than you would expect. And his curveball has been very good, too. So he's exactly where you would hope he would be. I think he's very comfortable with where he is right now. And he's pitching for a good team against a team he's had some success against.
Yeah, a good team and a very hot team right now. So Rangers perfect on this homestand. This homestand has started with a Yu Darvish victory. Stay tuned. Starting lineups, first pitch. It's the Astros and the Rangers. Game 3 coming up next. Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Just about set to go tonight, Rangers and Astros. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
HOU Darvish getting his third start tonight of the season for the Rangers. I asked Jeff Bannister his impressions of the first two and what he's expecting in number 3.
It's how he gets there that's most important, and really what we're looking for is how he pounds the strike zone with all of his pitches. You know, the fastball, he still trusts the fastballs. He's throwing a fastball in on the hitters, establishing that he's going to throw strikes, and then how he uses the secondary stuff. And we know that when you is throwing strikes with his fastball, the secondary is wipeouts.
And what Banny was alluding to at the beginning of that soundbite was the pitch count that HOU Darvish will be on. He says right around that 95 mark where he has been. But of course, as Banny mentioned, how he gets there will factor into a lot of their decision-making process. Dave.
All right, yeah, thanks, Emily. Well, Darvish tonight, Fister for the Astros. Let's take a look at this Astros lineup. 28 and 32 now, and George Springer leading it off in right. Jose Altuve at second base, batting second. Then in the heart of the order, it's CORREA, COLBY, RASMUS, and Luis Valbuena at third base. Evan Gattis, the DH, today bats 6th. Carlos Gomez 7th. Marwin Gonzalez at first base batting 8th. And then Jason Castro does the catching tonight for the Astros. He'll bat 9th.
HOU Darvish on the mound for the Rangers, making his third start of the year. He's won his first 2 against 2 good teams, Pittsburgh and Seattle. In his last 26 starts at home, he features a 2.44 ERA. His stuff has been good, building up his pitch count and his arm strength, right on track, right where he needs to be.
And he's ready to go and gets us started with ball 1 to George Springer. Springer at 279 coming in, but the leading power hitter on this Astros team. Usually those guys bat toward the middle of the order, but he has flourished, as have the Astros. They have played a lot better with Springer in that leadoff spot, and there's hardly a manager who would turn down a little pop in that leadoff spot as well. So that has worked out well for the Astros. And he takes a 2-0 pitch and drives it out to left. That ball quickly into the seats. Springer with his 14th home run of the year, and he has gotten the Astros on the board first.
Yeah, that's not a good formula against a guy like Springer. Get behind with 2 fastballs. So he saw 2 fastballs, got a sense of timing, and then looking fastball, he gets one on the inside half of the plate. HOU was trying to throw that ball down and away, but third straight fastball, that one in a home run location, and Springer does what he's done 13 times prior to that.
The other thing that stood out there, HOU Darvish, well, not happy with that one.
That one went a long way.
Hoying couldn't see out there in left field. Altuve looks this one out his direction, but he will give way to Desmond. And there's one away. Well, that sun looks like a challenge out there in left field, a little bit in center for Ian.
Yeah, you just saw Jared look over to center field and say, look, if you can catch it, come get it. The angle for the center fielder is such that you're not looking into the sun. That's what Jared is looking at in left field. And anything straight up is not a big problem, but anything that's a line drive or a semi-fly ball line drive is going to be right in the sun, and a lot of them stay right in the sun. He's got a tough time. Right now, if you're the left fielder, instead of saying, I want the ball hit to me, you're saying, hit it somewhere else. Don't hit it here right now.
Like, give me an inning.
Give me 10 minutes.
A good look right there. The shadows, but more importantly, that big sunny stripe out there in left. Darvish finds the corner on Carlos Correa, and it's 1-1. So the home run by Springer, Altuve with the fly ball out, and now Correa hitless in this series. Averages dipped below 260. I wouldn't chase that one. Just the third start of the year for Darvish. All three have come here at home. You see Correa has not turned in his best work in this Lone Star Series. Fouls this one off. 2-2. Darvish, meanwhile, when you think of his role in the Lone Star Series over the years, it has been a very significant one. He has had some of his best single game efforts against the Astros over the years. And there's his first strikeout of the night as he gets Correa looking at a breaking ball. Take a look at the Rangers defense behind Darvish today, brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation. Jared Hoying finding the sun in left, Ian Desmond in center, Nomar Mazara out in right field. On the infield, it's Beltre at third, Elvis Andrus at shortstop, Odor and Moreland on the right side of the infield, and Bobby Wilson, who has caught the previous 2 Darvish starts this year, catching this one as well. 29-year-old right-hander HOU Darvish. His pitch to Rasmus.
And that's been a good pitch for HOU in his first 2 starts, breaking ball. He's thrown a lot of really slow curveballs, kind of a regular curveball. That's more like a hard slider. So he can throw a variety of breaking balls that break some a little bit more than other at different speeds. So it's not like the hitter can look for one particular breaking pitch at a certain speed. There's several varieties, which makes it very difficult to time that pitch.
Well, that was a hitter's count for Colby Rasmus at that 2-0 pitch, and Darvish a little too careful, misses high. And you'd understand why he'd be careful with Colby Rasmus when you look at the head-to-head numbers. You just saw him a moment ago, but Rasmus has been a tough out over the years for Darvish. Oh, that just missed. So a 4-pitch walk, and the Astros have a 2-out base runner.
Several borderline pitches in that at bat. One down near the bottom of the strike zone, 2 near the top. Kind of pitches that could go either way, but all 3 of them went against Darvish in that particular at bat.
Jeff Bannister
saying
campaigning a little bit,
saying something along the lines of a couple of those pitches needed to be strikes.
Pat Hoberg, our plate umpire tonight. And now Valbuena. There is a strike right down the heart of the plate. .238 batting average for Valbuena, getting the start at third base tonight. He came in late last night as a defensive replacement at third and promptly olayed a ball right out into left field. I don't think they expect him to hit for a high average, but what they do like about Valbuena is his ability to run into one occasionally. Does have some power. And lately on a little hitting streak. Modest 4-game streak for him. Plan to pull on the infield. Runner goes, and Rasmus will have to return to first. A pretty good jump.
Yeah, pretty good jump, and HOU was not that concerned about the runner on that pitch. He was going after the hitter. Knows if he throws a strike on that pitch, it doesn't really matter what the base runner does. Unless it's hit for a base hit, you get a little bit of a head start.
Darvish pauses for a moment. Try and hold Rasmus a little tighter to that bag. Darvish, of course, he's had all kinds of success in any number of ways, but one of the ways that he has distinguished himself is with the strikeouts. A career interrupted by Tommy John surgery, missed all of last season. And back now tonight for just his 3rd start in 2016. That loopy curveball missed outside 1 and 2.
That's a pretty good place to throw that for the first time, trying to get out of the inning. No balls and 2 strikes. For the most part, if you throw that pitch, the hitter is going to be fooled enough to where generally they don't swing at it. If you throw it for a strike, then that's the last out of the inning.
This one ripped foul. And they don't have to be the first one to get to it. Just want to be the last one to get to it when you're a fan. Most things get up there in a hurry. A Springer home run. That's how we got things started. Now with 2 gone. 1 and 2 to Valbuena. And Darvish delivers. And got him swinging. 2 strikeouts in the first for Darvish. But the home run by Springer gets the Astros in front early. Rangers coming to bat. Starting lineup tonight presented by Southwest Airlines. It's ROUGNED ODOR back in the leadoff spot at second base. Ian Desmond in center field, Nomar Mazara in right. Then in the middle of the order, it's Beltre Fielder as the DH, Elvis Andrus at short. Bottom of the order has Mitch Moreland at first, Jared Hoyen getting the start at left, and Bobby Wilson doing the catching tonight for you, Darvish. And they'll take a look at Doug Fister.
After a slow month of April, he has been the Astros' best pitcher. Not an overpowering guy as far as his fastball goes. Fastball, 85 to 88, 89 miles an hour. Occasionally might hump up and get one a little faster than that. But he really knows how to pitch. An excellent assortment of off-speed pitches. He's having a very solid year.
He jumps right out ahead of Odor, 0-2. Odor been batting 5th since coming back from his suspension imposed by Major League Baseball. But today back in that leadoff spot as Jurickson Profar gets the night off. And he goes after that one, and a strikeout is how we get underway in the bottom of the first. Let's look at the defense tonight behind Doug Fister. In the outfield, very athletic out there. Colby Rasmus in left, Carlos Gomez center, and George Springer. A lot of fun to watch out in right field. Left side of the infield, Luis Valbuena back at third, Carlos Correa, the reigning American League Rookie of the Year at short, Altuve and Marwin Gonzalez at first. Jason Castro, the veteran catcher for the Astros, will complete the battery with Fister. 1-0 to Ian Desmond. Well, Desmond has the average up to 310 coming into tonight. He has been red hot. 2-0 the count. He's hit 13 of his last 15 games. The average has jumped over 40 points during that stretch. And now ahead 3-0. Pfister 6 feet 8 inches tall. And delivers strike one to Desmond. He thought he had a free pass, and Fox Tracks would indicate that technically he did.
Yeah, that ball was 3 or 4 inches farther out of the strike zone than several of those pitches to Rasmus were.
3-2 the count. Mentioned our plate umpire tonight, Pat Holberg. He is a minor league call-up umpire, and they do that from time to time to give guys in these crews a break. So curveball fouled off, and the count stays 3-2. Mark Carlson will have the plate tomorrow. We saw Clint Walcott the opener of this series Monday. Crew chief Paul Emmel is at third tonight. Pfister's payoff pitch. Well, that's a tough strikeout. That'll be very difficult for Desmond to stomach. And for Jeff Bannister, who was a little hot in the top of the first at Holberg's strike zone.
Yeah, the one that was the pitch that was the tough call was the 3-0 pitch. I mean, that's a strike right there. That ball had good movement on, came in, caught the inside part of the plate. It's the fourth pitch, the 3-0 pitch, that looked like the one that certainly went Pfister's way and would have resulted in a walk. Last pitch just had a lot of movement on it and turned out to move into a good part of the strike zone for the pitcher.
Now Nomar Mazara, the rookie right fielder, 9th in the league with that .318 average, and hits this ball hard but foul, and it's 1-1.
Pfister pitched against the Rangers earlier in the season here, back on April 20th. Pitched a nice ball game, 6 innings, 5 hits, gave up a couple of runs. He lost that game 2-1. The Astros have played well when he's pitched. They've won his last 7 starts. He's on a 4-game winning streak himself.
His curveball is turned foul again by Mazara. Take a look at the Ford leaderboard. Now here's the American League rookie ranks. You don't have to go too far to find Nomar's name in all of those categories. Average, homers, RBIs, multi-hit games, it does not matter. He has dominated among American League rookies, and he serves this one into left field, a base hit. Well, he has been something to watch. That hitting streak now at 7 games with that base hit.
Yeah, he's difficult to pitch to. You don't expect a 21-year-old to be this kind of a hitter. The pitch before this was a slow curveball that he pulled foul. This is the best velocity pitch that Pfister's thrown, 90 miles an hour, tailing away. It's not even a strike. And he strokes it on a line into left field. It just presents a problem for the pitcher because there's no one certain way to pitch him. Doesn't get fooled as much as you would expect a 21-year-old to get fooled. Looks more like a 5 or 6 year veteran hitter.
Part of the reason he's been given the nickname the Big Chill. He's very composed in all situations. Beltre takes a big hack. It's 1-1. .271 batting average, 10 home runs. Beltre 10th in the league with those 40 RBIs. One from Pfister. And that's strike 2. Pfister 32 years old. And came to the Astros after the last 2 seasons with the Washington Nationals. Broke into the big leagues with the Mariners back in '09. Pitched a couple of years with the Detroit Tigers as well. So well traveled. A.J. Hinch, second year at the helm of the Houston Astros. Beltre chase strike 3, and that will end the inning. Pfister strikes out the side in the bottom of the first. We played 1. Astros with the 1-0 lead. Lead early. Quick look tonight in our Quicken Loans Rocket Arms. Now, DARVISH, 11.2 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched since his debut. Max Scherzer 10.6, trailing him. That's a big margin. It may not look that way. Evan Gattis was right after the first pitch of the second inning. And you're talking per 9, a difference of nearly, I guess, a little over half a strikeout per 9. That's significant. Bouncer right to shortstop. Andrus across the diamond, 1 away. All right, it's that time of game. We all love it. Where's Jim Knox?
Oh, I appreciate it, Dave. Another great crowd here at Globe Life Park. And look who we have here. Family of 10. We got the Gilberts, the Gilberts and Shermans all teamed up. We got 10 kids out here just about. Amy, whose great idea was this?
Aaron Sherman.
Aaron, where's Aaron? He's down at the end. He's got his hands full. Really putting them to work tonight, huh?
I know. He wishes he was on the field.
Okay, there we go. All right, good to have you guys out here. Enjoy the game. Appreciate it. Way to go. How you doing there, Chopper? Good? All right, good. All right, see you, buddy.
All right, thanks, Noxie. There's Carlos Gomez, and he takes strike 1, a breaking ball from DARVISH. Been a slow start for Gomez, recently back off the disabled list. He's been, what would you say, an entertaining watch?
He's definitely entertaining. Yep. I look at him and watch him play, and I look at it totally entertaining. Some people might get a little miffed with his style. It doesn't rub me that way.
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, he is entertaining. He's flamboyant. He takes the big swings. If he was on your team, you were a fan, would it drive you a little nuts, some of the aggression, I guess?
I don't know. You know, I'd have to say, from my personal point of view, I find him entertaining to watch as a visitor. Therefore, I think I would find him entertaining to watch as a teammate or as a fan, someone that played for my team. But the same thing is true with any player. You're a lot more entertaining if you're hitting 295, stealing bases and knocking in runs. That's the most entertaining part, is when my team and my guys are going good. Then I really like them.
Well, he provides the third strikeout of the night for Darvish.
That was just a little bit of a mismatch, that pitch. He wasn't ready for that one.
2 quick outs, and now here's Marwin Gonzalez. And he takes the first pitch and drills it right to center field. Desmond with a great recovery to hold that one in. 1-2-3 inning for Yu Darvish. We played an inning and a half. The Astros lead 1-0. This Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Bottom of the second inning. Prince Fielder leading things off for the Rangers, trailing 1-0. 1-0 pitch from Doug Fister, and Fielder pops it up. Playable on the left side of the infield for the third baseman Balbuena. 1 away. So Fister struck out the side in the first inning. Gets a quick out here with the second, and now we'll deal with Elvis Andrus.
Fister's turning out to be a very good sign for the Astros. You go back a couple of years, 2013, 2014, 1 year with the Tigers, 1 year with Washington. Over that period of time, he was 30-15 with an ERA right around 3. Spent a little bit of time on the disabled list the last couple of years. Last year was for him a down year. But they signed him as a free agent, reasonable contract, and he's probably been their best pitcher after a slightly slow start in April. He's come on and is throwing the ball really well. He's got excellent control. In his career, he's walked less than 2 batters per 9 innings. Throws strikes and has a good slow curveball that, as we've already seen in this game, can confuse hitters. See the second time through the lineup after the Rangers have all seen that slow curveball, if they're able to wait on it a little bit more.
It's 2-1 to Elvis. He gets that corner call,
and he has the good control by throwing, for the most part, quality strikes. He's not throwing these pitches right down the middle of the plate for the sake of throwing a strike. When you look at the Fox tracks, most of the circles are on the edges of the plate. Not many of them are near the middle of the plate.
Well, his signing was kind of an interesting one, just because You know, there appeared to be some injury issues with him in Washington. Andrus smacks it foul. When he came to spring training in 2014, he had to miss a little bit of time, had some inflammation in his right elbow, and then spent a month on the disabled list. At the beginning of the year, his velocity dipped pretty significantly in 14 and then again in 15. Andrus sends this one to the power alley right center field. It's going to get down and roll. Andrus around first. He'll get to second and slam on the brakes. He thought about it, but a one-out double for Andrus sets up this second inning.
It probably didn't matter where the outfielders were playing then, the way that that ball was hit between the gaps. But with Springer playing shallow, there was absolutely no chance of getting over to cover this ball. That was a pitch near the middle of the plate. And a good swing by Elvis. You can see where Springer's playing. Over toward the line and very shallow, which gave him virtually no chance to have a play on that ball.
So Elvis with good speed out at second base. And here's Moreland. And there's that big slow curveball you were talking about. .206 average for Moreland, but that's hardly the story. 5 for his last 56. It has been a real tough stretch for the veteran left-handed hitter. Wasn't that long ago, Moreland was hitting right around 260. He jumped ahead here 2-0. Pfister, though, that velocity drop that he suffered through with the Washington Nationals got worse again last year. Astros got him for a song this last offseason. It felt like they may have gotten a bit of a bargain.
Yeah, if they got him for a song, they've already gotten a bargain.
Pop up by Moreland, in on the left side of the infield, and again the third baseman Valbuena will haul it in foul ground. Now, voting is now open for the 2016 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, and the Rangers need your help to make sure Texas is represented. I mean, somebody's got to send Ian and Adrian and Elvis and Odor and the rest of the Rangers to San Diego. They need your votes. Go to TexasRangers.com and cast your vote up to 35 times. Fans who select the Rangers as their favorite team will receive an offer for 50% off tickets to select games in August. So get online, vote today, vote up to 35 times for your favorite Rangers. Jared Hoying batting 8th tonight. He takes ball 1. Hoying played on Sunday in this homestand against Seattle. Had to start at Sunday afternoon. Pops one foul and out of play. 1-1 the count. Lately, when Hoying has played, the Rangers have won. Of course, you could probably say that about the majority of the boys in red. But the Rangers have won the last 4 games in which Hoying has started. And he sends this one out into left field. RASMUS right there. And the inning is over. So 1-out double by Elvis Andrus, but he's left out there. We've played 2, 1-0 Houston.
Houston leading the Rangers as we welcome you back to Globe Life Park in the top of the third inning. Elvis Andrus, a huge supporter of the Special Olympics, and each year he participates in the law enforcement torch run. Here's what Elvis had to say about why this cause is so important to him.
You know, being able to run at least for, you know, from home to first base, but it's another passion, and I think the Special Olympics, it means a lot for me. I'm trying to get involved as much as I can. Helping wise, you know, with being, you know, just present myself in any activity or, you know, donating. And it's big, man. I think that they're really special. A bunch of those guys that don't know who you are, they just know your personality. They want to know who's actually Elvis Andrus outside the stadium. So I think that's one of the reasons that I really enjoy and be with them, and any activities that I can participate, you know, I'm more than welcome to do it.
And the Special Olympics Summer Games held here in Arlington, and Elvis also helps underwrite that by providing a $5,000 donation to the Special Olympics. So big props to Elvis on what he's doing in the community, guys.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Thanks, Emily. Jason Castro has worked the count to 2-1. Castro, Astros catcher, batting ninth. You see the low average at 219, but his value on base percentage, I mean, he gets on at a 351 clip. And it's 3-1.
Yeah, Castro, since the end of April 24th, his on base percentage has been over 40%. He's hitting better, and he also continues to walk a lot.
He takes ball 4, so there you go, another walk, and this one to lead off the third inning.
Astros walk more than any other team.
Yeah, that's the second one tonight. They do walk a lot. They also strike out a lot. And they will do their best to work counts, make a pitcher log as many pitches as possible, hopefully run the starters out early, get into bullpens. It's a lot of their strategy. As George Springer steps in his second look at Darvish tonight. He homered off him in the first. And so far, that's all the offense in this game. This is his 14th of the year. Springer, kind of the ideal or the prototype Astros player. I mean, really represents everything that they're trying to do. He's among the top 10 in the league in walks. He has 30 of them. Now he's also the top 10 in the league in strikeouts, but they don't care. He has 63 of those. He's among the league leaders in home runs. Their offensive philosophy pretty obvious. Try and mix walks with long balls. 0-2 from Darvish, and Springer fights him off.
Yeah, it's a good philosophy for scoring runs to get on base percentage and get a lot of walks. The thing that's been, I won't necessarily call it unusual, but that they've had a lot of success with, at least a third of the way through the season, is getting guys to buy into the program who haven't necessarily walked a lot in the past. Altuve is the best example. He's a great player, but he's walking at probably a 3-to-1 rate now than what he was.
There's the strikeout of Springer. Castro was off and running, and he's in at second base with his second steal of the year.
Excellent breaking ball right there. That's about as good a hard curveball as you can throw. Springer didn't have much of a chance to make contact. And Bobby obviously has a great chance to throw out Castro. The ball just slipped out of his hand and wasn't able to make a throw. For the last 4 years, Altuve has averaged 35 walks a year, and that's with over 600 at bats. This year he's already walked 29 times, so he's on pace to walk 60, 70, 80, 85 times this year, depending on the rate that he keeps going at for the rest of the season. They had a great chance to double the amount of walks he's ever had and average for the last 4 years. So when you get guys that improve their walk rate that much, it's pretty unusual, and it's almost a team-wide thing. Some have increased more than others, but I don't know that you generally see a whole team, man-to-man for the most part, increase their walk totals like the Astros have.
1-1.
I mean, no one wants to have a bad on-base percentage, but a lot of guys are what they are. They're free swingers or they're patient hitters. Altuve, I think you would categorize as one of the best hitters in baseball, but coming into this year, a very free swinger who swung at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone and had great success doing it. This year, he's having the same success hitting, and his on-base percentage will be higher because of the walks he's getting.
It's this one hard up the middle and through into center field, a base hit. Castro being waved. Desmond's got that strong arm. The throw to the plate in time. And Castro gunned down by Ian Desmond. It wasn't close.
That looked like Leonis Martin throwing in center field. Wow, you talk about a long-range throw. That ball was hit hard by Altuve, which means Desmond is not going to charge it very much and get it close to home plate. He's going to be deep when he catches the ball, which makes the throw that much longer. So even though Castro's not an exceptional runner, almost every time on that play the runner's going to score. A long-range throw that comes down right basically on top of the plate. Well, that is saving a run right there. Castro didn't have a chance.
I don't think there is a more electrifying weapon than that arm of Ian Desmond. I mean, we've seen some plays this year and going back into spring training where, my goodness.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great plays in baseball where an outfielder, especially a center fielder, fields a ball like that and guns a guy down at the plate. And Ranger fans for the last several years have seen one of the best in all of baseball, and that's Leonis Martin, do the same thing. Well, it's nice to have someone take his place out there and pick up right where he left off. That was a tremendous throw, not just the strength of the throw, but more than that, the accuracy of the throw.
I think that's one of the things that jumps out the most is that his throws are consistently spot on. I mean, very little tailing action. He lines it up, and it is on a line. Oh, 0-2 to Correa. Wow. That was another close one.
Boom. You don't expect to be gunned out from out there. That's like hitting a home run. You either add a run or you take one off. That one took one off.
Darvish gets Correa swinging.
98 miles an hour with that fastball.
5 strikeouts tonight for you, Darvish. Ian Desmond to the biggest strike of the game, though, from center field. It's 1-0 Astros. is a tribute to the Rangers' first American League Championship victory in 2010. Be one of the first 10,000 fans at the park tomorrow to watch the Rangers take on the Astros and pick up this special collectible, courtesy of Papa John's. Tickets still available at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972 Rangers. Here we go, bottom of the third, Bobby Wilson. He takes strike one from Pfister. 1-0 ball game. George Springer with the home run in the first inning for the Astros. And then both pitchers having very good sense. Wilson playing in his 4th consecutive game. And hits this one right down the first baseline for a hit.
Take that. Well, last night he had a line shot to left for a single and a home run to center. And this time hits it right off the handle and just sneaks it down the first baseline. Gonzalez is playing off the line. And he just got to watch as it go by him. There's not much he can do on it. Not even close enough for him to dive and try to knock it down.
Well, sometimes better to be lucky than good. That is a great way to start the 3rd inning for Bobby Wilson. And the Rangers is now top of the order coming. Odor struck out swinging in the first. 0 for 1 tonight. And we mentioned earlier, back in that leadoff spot, he was for several weeks after Delano DeShields went back to the minor leagues. A little bouncer up the middle, and that one is through, base hit. Wilson turns second, heads to third, the throw behind him, and Odor goes to second. So the Rangers get a free 90 feet on the throw to third base. Heads up base running by ROUGNED Odor.
Yeah, the ball was hit to the right side of second base. Gomez is playing on the left side of second base, so he had a ways to go. Bobby Wilson, a catcher, is obviously not an overly fast runner, but it's not how fast you are, it's taking advantage of the opportunity. He knows Gomez is going toward the right field line, will have to turn to get in position to throw. Gomez knows it's the catcher running, thinks because of that he's going to have some shot to throw him out, which he didn't. Launches the throw, and as soon as he did, Odor trotted into second, takes away the double play.
Now Ian Desmond. He struck out looking first time up. This bouncer will be handled by Altuve. They'll give up the run though. Altuve over to first to get Desmond. It's an RBI for Desmond and a tie game in the third.
We'll take a look at ROUGNED going around first base. Now he knows he's got a single. He's waiting to see what happens. Watches the throw, realizes there's no cutoff man there to cut it off, and he's got a free shot to go to second base. Ian, in that situation, is trying to hit a ground ball to the right side, which he did. Scored the run, but it wasn't quite far enough to the right side to get Odor over to third base. Nevertheless, it was a great try, and bottom line is get that run in, and Ian, as he usually does, managed to do that.
So a 1-1 game. And Mazzara hits this one hard left field. RASMUS plays shallow and is right there to make the catch. Oh, we have a chance. Let's check in with Dana Larson on another Chevy game break. Wow. I suspect, thanks Dana, I suspect that he'll straighten it out this year and contribute for the White Sox. Really amazing that he is already with a new team in 2016. Shields traded by the Padres to the White Sox last week as he pitched to Adrian Beltre. right in there, strike one. Beltre struck out in the first, 0 for 1 tonight. Two away. Odor at second. And Beltre in a hole here, 0-2. He's had good success against Fister in his career, and in a significant number of at-bats. 9 for 29 coming in. Fister, the very tall right-hander, 6'8". One off the plate, 1-2. You see a guy that size, and you think with those levers, you more or less assume that he's going to be a power pitcher. And he used to be able to rear back and maybe get into the low 90s, but not any longer. 2-2 the count. He relies on the deception, the movement. A very good location, but he has managed with his stuff very well, certainly this year for the Astros. A run is in. Odor at second base, and a 2-2 count on Beltre, and he'll pop this one up right near second base. Altuve wants it, and that one ends the inning. Run scores, 2 hits and a man left, and we're tied at 1. We go to the 4th inning. A 1-1 game. Colby Rasmus, Luis Valbuena, and Evan Gattis for the Astros against Darvish, who has 5 strikeouts so far tonight. So that part of the game really working for Darvish early. Darvish started to reference it earlier. When you look at the various things he's accomplished in his young career here stateside so far, certainly the one that jumps out at you is his strikeout dominance. Rasmus with a pop-up out into left field. Hoying long run, but he'll get there. 1 away. Well, during the half inning, we had a chance to catch up with Jeff Bannister.
Well, Banny, thanks for joining us. The throw by Ian Desmond from center field. We talk about home runs, but how big a lift is a defensive play like that in a dugout?
Well, that's huge for all of us. It's huge for the pitcher especially. He just gave up a hit. We've seen it. We saw it in spring training. We saw it early when he was left field. I think this was really the first time that he's had an opportunity to throw one from center field. It's special when you see it, and what's even more amazing is how accurate he really is.
Banny, I know this is a reflection of you and your coaches, but what does it mean to you to watch your team over an extended period of time take the extra base, hit the ball to the right side with a man on second, get the sacrifice fly, throw strikes, all the little things that contribute to the success? Has to be pretty gratifying for you to watch.
Immensely gratifying, especially for this coaching staff, who I've challenged them to really stay on top of those things and that philosophy and drive it home to our players, get them to buy in, believe. And you know, early on it was a little bit of a challenge with some of these guys, but they've really bought in. They've stayed with the process, and we're seeing the fruits of the labor of these coaches and these players right now.
Been pretty exciting to watch, Banny. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Banny.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, Jeff Bannister, as this one was hit down into the right field corner, lodged under that padding, and you saw Mazzaro holding his hands out, and the second you go in for that ball, then you no longer have the ability to throw the hands out and get the dead ball call. So you immediately have to throw your hands up. That makes it a dead ball, and Valbuena will go back to second base.
That's a good call, because in order to get that ball out, you would have had to take a couple of seconds to pry it out from underneath the fence.
Well, you see that most often at Wrigley Field with the vines. And every once in a while, you'll see a guy plunge his hand in thinking he'll just grab the ball and throw it.
That's what he's saying right now. What if he pushed it in? I think that's what he's saying. Did he reach down for the ball and push it underneath the fence? I don't think he would do that, because if he reached down to pick it, Valbuena wasn't going to go to third anyway. If he could have gotten the ball and thrown it in, Valbuena was slowing down halfway to second base, planning on a double. The only reason Valbuena kept going was because Nomar then looked at the ball, realized it was pried under the fence, and called the umpire out to look at it.
Now A.J. Hinch made his point, but we'll get nothing for it.
The ball was hit very hard by Valbuena. It never bounces and just sticks right underneath the fence. Nomar goes down and touches it. Obviously realized he couldn't get it without a concerted effort. Left it there, got a call from the umpire, and the umpire told Valbuena to go back to second, just like he should have.
Now Evan Gattis, and he takes strike one. Gattis grounded out in the second inning. 0 for 1 tonight. Big time power, 9 homers this year. But keep in mind, he was sent down to the minor leagues to retool as a catcher. And so he's missed some time with a big club. And he golfs this one hard out to left field. Hoying is back near the fence, and he makes the catch. Nicely done. Valbuena got off second base and scrambles back safely.
Well, that was a beautiful play by Jared. I didn't know if he could get back in time to get it, but he gave up his body going into the wall, and then impressively after the catch bounced off the wall and threw a strike to second base and came close to getting Valbuena going back to second. So we talked about the throw from Ian Desmond to save a run. Here's a catch that saved a run with a man on second. So HOU DARVISH is throwing the ball well with 5 strikeouts. He's given up a few hits, and he's had 2 defensive plays made behind him that have each saved a run. And who knows how many more, if that wasn't turned into an out, would have happened after that happened.
Now Carlos Gomez. Another look. Right to your point, a run scores on that play if Hoying doesn't make the catch, and then the question is, there's still only one out.
Still only one out, right.
What else happened?
Exactly.
Good breaking ball, but just a little low, and it's 1-1 on Gomez. Two-run homer
yesterday, a couple of walks. And he's ahead here, 2-1. Darvish has had to log some pitches. Came into tonight 692 strikeouts in his first 85 career games. Too tight. That's a major league record for 85 games. That record used to be held by Dwight Gooden, who had 646 strikeouts in his first 85 games. But Darvish has far outpaced Dwight Gooden in that regard. And it's a full count now to Gomez. "29 years old. And this the first start this year for Darvish on the regular 4 days rest. Payoff on the way. Just missed, and Gomez is on.
First baseman Marlins Gonzalez.
Well, that's a third walk tonight for the Astros. To this point, none of them have scored. Yesterday, they drew 6 walks, and none of them scored. I think if you're A.J. Hinch, you feel like, well, you know, we're doing a lot of what we set out to do. We're getting those free bases. But they have not gotten that big hit, by and large, in this series. Marwin Gonzalez, and a breaking ball in there, strike one. Switch hitter bats left-handed against Darvish. Gonzalez hit one deep in the second inning, but was ultimately tracked down by Ian Desmond for the final out of the frame. Just like that, 0-2. Gonzalez and Yu Darvish have a little bit of history. It was Marwin Gonzalez who ruined the perfect game effort in Houston a couple of years ago, with 2 out in the 9th inning. Right-handers 0-2. Got him swinging, the 6th strikeout tonight for Darvish. And he'll leave 2 out there. We go to the bottom of the 4th. A 1-1 game.
And Dave, look who we found here. The Dude Perfect guys in the stands tonight. They got to throw out the first pitch. Now, Tyler, yours was a little off the left, but there's a reason because of that.
Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, I threw that pitch specifically for any scouts that were out here. That's my 0-2 pitch. I just wanted to show the movement. No scout's going to pick up a guy that just throws heat right down the middle.
Exactly. So. All right. Well, we got the video going on right now, and I agree with you on that. You guys grew up in the area, except you were a Houston Astro fan, but now a Ranger fan right now. But yes, converted them. Good to be here now. There you go. Now, Tyler, I understand your favorite player was Rusty Greer, and you had to play in the backyard with your dad. What was that about?
Yeah, so anytime we go play catch in the backyard, I wasn't allowed to come inside until I made an RGC. So that's a Rusty Greer catch.
All right, get out of here. That's a foul ball right there. That's good. Okay, if you had to work with any one Ranger player on a trick shot or anything, who would you pick out there?
Oh, I don't know if I could limit it to one, but I would like to see Darvish maybe throw Beltre a basketball. He bombs one, maybe the home run porch from the one knee, and then the goals, basketball goes up on home run porch, and he just swishes it.
I like it. We're going to see that in the future. Good seeing you guys. Great job. Good to have you out here. Appreciate it, Dave.
Nice job, Noxie. Thank you.
I'd like to see that one.
I mean, that's worth the
long way to hit a basketball.
Prince Fielder leading off the fourth inning. He's in the hole here. The 1-2 against Pfister. That's a big curve right there. 2-2 the count. Our TXU Energy Power player to watch. Well, Prince Fielder has dominated the Astros for many, many years. He takes one off the shoulder.
Big guy says, "Thank you very much. I'll take first." He had to look at the umpire to see if it hit him. I wasn't sure it hit him. It bounced right off him.
Well, that's a gift.
Well, you get the leadoff man on base, you'll take that any day of the week. Obviously, that's not what Pfister's trying to do. Pfister has impeccable control. And just got away from him, trying to throw the fastball in and just held on to it a little too long.
Now a high strike to Elvis Andrus. Elvis doubled in the second inning. One of 4 Rangers hits so far tonight. And Pfister gets that one to come back in. It's 0-2. Andrus had the home run on Saturday against the Mariners, but was hitless in 11 at-bats before that double tonight. We'll get him back going again. 0-2 pitch. Let's go back to that second inning. All right, take a look at the spray charts. Look at that. 15% of the fly balls to the outfield go to either alley. Seems like if you're going to shift, maybe that's where you should shift to. Crowd him in the middle. But they left that wide open, and he exploited it for the double. Fielder at first. And a bouncer up the middle, could be 2. Correa steps on the bag for 1 on to first, and it is a double play.
First baseman, Mitch.
So Fielder erased, and it'll get Moreland to the plate now. That's one of the advantages of having a good sinker baller on the mound, and that's Pfister's style. Get those ground balls, which they can turn into 2 outs. A little steam taken out of this fourth inning all of a sudden. And Moreland spanks this one off into the seats foul. Mitch did not start either of the first 2 games of this series. Came in last night as a defensive replacement. What a short unplug for him, much like Prince Fielder got. Chases that one, 1-2 the count. Jeff Bannister doing his best to work his 25-man roster and get the most out of each guy. And that means in part getting Moreland started and getting Fielder back on track. Fister's 1-2. And that one hit high in the air left field. Rasmus turns and looks, and it's high off the fence. Moreland sprinting to second, and he's in there sliding with a 2-out double.
Mitch has excellent power to the opposite field. Thought for a second, that ball might get into the front row. Almost did, off the wall. High fastball out of the strike zone, up and away. Mitch almost hit it out of the park. See how high that ball hit on the wall. Right off the top. Need to go another couple inches to get up there.
Missed it by that much. Jared Hoying 0 for 1. Flied out to left field. Left-handed hitter getting the start tonight against the right-handed Fister, and it is 2-0. Driven in runs in each of his last 3 starts. And pops this one up. Altuve just handled himself, inning over. Rangers get a hit and a hit batter, but nothing else. We go to the 5th tonight.
Happy birthday, Ranger fans. Celebrating birthdays and anniversaries.
Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Mazda. At every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. To the 5th inning. Oh my goodness. I'm going to say chocolate ice cream.
He's not too worried about it, though.
Yeah, but his sister might be. It was her ice cream.
Oh, well. Got any left?
He doesn't seem at all concerned about the wardrobe. Jason Castro leading off the 5th inning, 1-1 to count to the Astros catcher. He walked in the 3rd inning. This what he has done very well, not just this year, but in general. Good defensive catcher. And does a good job working the count and finding his way on base. 1-2 to count, though. He missed 4 games with the flu last week. And since he has come back, he has played every other day. This is his 2nd game since coming back. Or rather, 3rd game. Just trying to get some of that stamina back up again. Only a handful of Astros players still on the roster who endured the quote-unquote rebuild. As this one bounced slowly by the mound. Beltre will handle it near short. 1 away.
That was one of those slow off-speed pitches. Castro waited on it. He waited a little too long and ended up getting jammed. And rolled a little slow into Adrian.
Oh, the Cincinnati Reds coming to town June 21st. A little interleague play against the Rangers. First 15,000 fans to the ballpark will get a Rangers yearbook. The yearbook includes player profiles and pictures from each Rangers youth baseball career. You get your tickets for that June 21st game going to TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. 1 out, top of the 5th, and top of the order for the Astros. George Springer homered in the 1st. And that has been all tonight. Astros have had a couple of hits since. And Springer accounting for all the run scoring so far. And there's an inside strike. I think he loves that call. Darvish will take it, though. He struck Springer out in the 3rd inning. One of 6 Ks he has racked up tonight. Second off speed, that time catches the corner, and it's 1-2.
Tough at bat for Springer. Springer's kind of, I'm sure, taking a lot of pride in his patience and getting walks this year. Last one just barely touched the strike zone.
He is tied with Carlos Correa for the team lead with 30 walks this season. The 1-2 curveball, and he got him swinging.
That's kind of an example of what we're talking about, the variation in speeds on the breaking ball. That one was the slow one at 63. One slightly before that was 69, and then he'll throw a hard slider in the 80s, cut fastball a little higher than that. But this is the, I guess you'd call it a changeup curveball. The slow speed fools the hitter, and then the way it goes straight down fools the hitter. But that's a big swing that occurred before the ball ever got to the bat.
Two gone. Here's Altuve. Altuve singled his last time up. One of the tougher outs in baseball. Came in 5th in the league in hitting. 2-0 the count. Was the leadoff man for the Astros, but after the Rangers went down to Houston and swept Houston in their ballpark, they made some changes. And one of them was to move Altuve to the 2nd spot of the order and move Springer up. Fans were a little concerned. Well, what does that mean? What is that going to mean for Altuve? Well, he's hit better moving to the 2nd spot. It's at .344 batting 2nd, only improving the batting average. So that move worked really well for A.J. Hinch. They peeled off 11 wins in the next 13 games prior to this series. And there's ball 4. Altuve will take his walk.
And in that situation, with 2 outs and nobody on, a walk of Altuve could almost be like giving up a double, because he's very difficult to throw out. He's only been thrown out attempting to steal 1 time this year. Uh-oh.
Well, you know, that strikeout of Springer a moment ago, if you noticed Darvish's reaction after strike 3, that big slow curveball, to the untrained eye, it looked like a guy who wasn't terribly comfortable with what he felt after that pitch. And then he turns around and walks Altuve, and that gets the attention of Doug Brocail and Kevin Harmon. Now here's the pitch. Watch his reaction.
Yeah, the way he's moving his arm around would seem to indicate that, Dave. And the pitches that he threw to Altuve were all, 89 miles an hour. He says he's fine. That's good news. Makes your heart stop for a second when you see the trainer running out like that.
Those two will continue to discuss what they just learned out there on the mound, but Darvish convinces everybody he's okay.
Yeah, and I think Darvish is very realistic and honest about how he feels. And if he was experiencing something worrisome, he would have said something.
So here's Correa. Altuve running. A throw down to second from Wilson, and it skips through into center field. Altuve will scamper to third. Yeah, you can't take for granted that he's going to stop there.
That's why when you walk Altuve, it's like giving up a double. And with 2 outs, the walk puts him in scoring position for Correa, and now the error moves him to third base. Strong throw by Bobby, who really had no chance to get him. He had a big lead and a big jump. The ball kind of kicks off Odor's glove. It's probably an error on Odor. I don't think that ball bounced.
Well, got to Odor on the fly.
They gave the error to the catcher, but it looked like the ball was in the air. It didn't. If the ball bounced, it's an error on the catcher. It looked like the ball was a foot off the ground and just kicked off ROUGNED's glove.
So now the potential go-ahead run only 90 feet away. And Correa at the plate. It's this one out to right field. Mazara back, and he's got room to make the catch, inning over. Well, 2-out walk to Altuve, but Correa leaves him at third. We're halfway there tonight, a 1-1 game.
between the Astros and the Rangers, and I want to show you some fun video we captured as the Rangers teamed up with Whistle Sports MLB Fully Loaded this week to shoot some fun and unique content for fans. Joined by Scooter Magruder, who interacted with players and fans alike, ex-Pogo for some extreme pogoing, and juggling Josh, who juggled a table full of Rangers concessions. Visit the Rangers social media platforms to check out all the exciting videos. Looks like my kind of guys, Dave and Tom. Guys that like to do fun stuff like pogo and juggle and yeah.
Tom, did you ever pogo?
Yeah, definitely.
Pogoing very underrated in my opinion, and a lost art.
I was young. I'm not sure how old when hula hoops first came out.
Right.
Probably, I don't know, 10, 8, something like that. Wasn't very good at hula hooping. Was pretty good at pogoing.
Tom, I challenge you to a hula hoop pogo throwdown.
On camera or off camera?
Either way.
Well, let's try off first.
Okay, let's practice off and then see how it goes, and maybe we'll bring the cameras out.
Where do you even get a hula hoop?
I don't know. I'm on it, though. Don't worry. I'm on it.
What about the pogo?
Me and my big mouth. As Ralph Cramden used to say.
Yeah, careful what you say, Tom.
Are you even old enough to know who Ralph Cramden is?
I am slightly familiar. Is it an All in the Family reference?
No, the Honeymooners.
It's close.
Oh, close.
One of these days, Emily, pow, zoom to the moon. Strikeout of Bobby Wilson. Begins play in the bottom of the 5th inning. Those were the best. They replayed those when I must have been junior high or high school, and they replayed them one summer every day.
Did they?
And so I would sit down around lunchtime and watch old Honeymooners episodes. The golf episode, when they addresses the ball.
Yeah, that was a good one for sure. There's a priceless one that's out right now that didn't actually occur with Donald Trump in it. That one's worth watching.
ODOR takes a curveball for a strike. 0-2 the count.
That big curveball that he throws comes straight down, and so when it gets to the catcher, it's a little bit lower than it is when it goes by the plate, which is the strike zone. So that looks like it's low where he catches it, but actually when it goes by the strike zone, it's high enough.
Well, ODOR didn't like that at bat. Pops out to RASMUS in left field, 2 away.
If you happen to stand deep in the batter's box, by the time the ball gets to you, it is low. But because it's breaking sharply down when it goes by the plate, which is up in front of you, it can technically be high enough.
ODOR giving the stank eye there to Pat Holberg on his way back into the dugout. Not at all happy. Now Desmond, and he'll send this one right through the right side, a base hit. And he is aboard with 2 out. Time for the home field advantage presented by Lowe's. And yeah, Ian Desmond, 372 batting average here at home. And having a great homestand as well. He's not the only one, but in particular standing out. Hit streak now at 3 games with that single. And there's that big bender again, this time for a ball to Mazzara. His base hit came in the 1st inning, flied out in the 3rd. That's a good pitch there for a strike. 1-1. Mazzara, tall young man, youngest player right now in the big leagues. That length maybe belies the strength that he brings, though, at the plate. He's got some pop, and it looks effortless. 1-1. Runner going, and this throw gets away into center field. Desmond will hop up. He'll advance to 3rd. And so now the go-ahead run for the Rangers, only 90 feet away.
Almost the exact carbon copy of the top of the 5th inning. Altuve stole second, went to third on the error.
Now this time the error will be charged to the catcher, Jason Castro, and it was changed last inning. The error ended up on Odor, although again, I say that.
The reason that that's an error is because it's tailing into the runner, and the only way Correa could have caught that was to put his arm at risk by reaching into the runner who was sliding. The other one was straight, and all Odor had to do was catch it. I think they have to give some benefit to the infielder who has to catch it and make the tag, and would have had a very difficult time catching that without a dangerous collision to his glove and arm.
So Desmond at third, the 2-2. And this ball golfed high in the air, right field. Springer comes in, makes the play, and ends the inning. And so the Rangers leave the man at third. And we'll go to the 6th inning tonight. You figure, Rangers Astros tied at 1.
Welcome back to Globe Life Park. This was the scene before the game. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in for the big town of Atlanta, Texas. You bet. And on hand, well, he's back. The Italian Stallion, Bobby B from KPYN Radio. Did you guys have a good trip over here, Bobby?
Great trip. Eddie brought us. I brought my wife with me. I don't know where she is. Adrian! No, you don't understand. Adrian!
Very nice. All right, Rangers right now locked in a good one against the Astros.
Hey, when Adrian Beltre comes up, we're going to hit him in the midsection. We're going to hit him again and again, and then we're going to knock him.
Oh, man, I like that.
We're taking down the Disastros.
There we go. All right, good to have you guys in
trading post, Atlanta. We love you.
Woo! Way to go, Bobby B.
Wow. And with that, Sean Tollison is on in relief. His 21st appearance and his first appearance in a game since being reactivated off the family medical emergency list on Friday. So it took a little while, but in there now in this 6th inning in a 1-1 game. Got Rasmus to roll out to second and starts Valbuena with ball 1.
Yeah, two important parts of the bullpen are Sean Tollison and Tom Wilhelmsen. Tom went to the minor leagues and came back. Both of these guys are guys that can contribute late in ball games, regardless of whether it's the 5th inning, the 8th inning, the 9th inning. But to get two more guys in the mix will take the workload off the 3 or 4 guys right at the end. There's Tom out there. Both of those guys with proven track records just need to get back in the swing of things, get back on track.
3-0 to Valbuena. Take a look at the Kubota power stats. Bullpen's been pretty stout in the first 5 games of this homestand. Balbuena, though, will take his base. 2.03 earned run average. And the best part is that inherited runners. He's done a terrific job of leaving the opposition's base runners out there. 5th walk tonight issued by Rangers pitching. DARVISH done after 5 innings. Pitch count not where we were expecting it to get to tonight, and that's more than likely a bit of a precautionary move after he showed maybe just a little discomfort or whatever it was there in the 5th inning briefly after his strikeout of Springer. 76 pitches for DARVISH. They were hoping to get him to 95 as Gaddis waves right through that one. Rolled out to short, flied out to left field, 0 for 2 tonight. They continue to work on Balbuena, who has not yet attempted a stolen base this season. Apparently just want to keep him close to keep that double play in order. Nobody does that better than the Rangers. 81 double plays turned by the Rangers coming into tonight. And that is most in the world, and by a long margin. Two and one. The second most in the American League in terms of double plays. Detroit, I believe, Detroit has 62 double plays turned this year. So it's not a fair fight. It's like Noxie with the fans down there with the boxing gloves on. This one popped up. Moreland runs out of room. So Tom, did Noxie have any idea that he was going to be taking punches down there? Or did that just happen?
I think Noxie can go both ways on that. I think he's perfectly willing and able to go with the punches and do it as he sees it come about, and he's not against planning it. So I'm not exactly sure how that one worked out.
Strikeout of Gaddis in the 6th inning, 2 away.
I don't think he can catch him by surprise. Let's put it that way. I think he's ready for anything.
Well, let's try Dana Larson. How about a Chevy game break? All right, yeah. Thanks, Dana.
Boy, Carlos Beltran's having a nice first half. Playing him himself into an all-star berth.
Tollison's breaking ball misses outside. Gomez today struck out in the 2nd, walked in the 4th inning. He's a free swinger. Oh, just a little bit low as well. Settling in on another beautiful night here at Globe Life Park. Oh, glimpse of the sunset tonight. There's that big swing by Gomez. 2-1 the count.
It's a crowd favorite for sure. I don't think he can swing any harder than that, although on the next one he might try.
Wow, 2-2.
Yeah, he got ahead in the count 2-0. He's looking for a fastball, took his best swing and missed it, and then he took one right down the middle for strike 2.
I'm just not sure how you can hit when you're that off balance. 2-2. And that is right down the middle. Strike 3 called. Down goes Gomez. And the Astros in the 6th.
To the last of the sixth we go. Adrian Beltre, Prince Fielder, Elvis Andrus coming up in a tie game. Time for the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $1,000 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run this inning, Karen McDougal of Garland will win $1,000. But if a Ranger hits a grand slam, Karen will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. So bottom of the sixth inning, in the middle of the order for the Rangers. Beltre 0 for 2 tonight. He has struck out and popped out against Doug Fister. Beltre and Fister have a little history.
We just got word that DARVISH came out with a little bit of tightness in his shoulder. Was examined by Keith Meister, Rangers orthopedic team doctor, and does not appear that it is structural.
So say that again. What did they call it?
Some tightness, discomfort in his right shoulder. Okay. Dr. Meister examined him and doesn't feel that it is anything structural. But just a precaution, which is good news.
A borderline strike called against Beltre. It's a full count. Okay, so as we suspected, taken out for precautionary reasons. Good to get a little update on that. 3-2. Curveball. Beltre smashes that one by third base. Beltre with a big turn around first, and he'll have to hustle back now. And he's in there safely and barely.
Well, you talk about a first base umpire that's got his nose on that play. Mark Carlson watched every single inch of that throw to first base. I love to see the umpires, when they get in position to make a call and get it right like that. There's a hanging slow curveball. Struck Adrian out earlier in the game on that pitch. Adrian takes a wide turn. It's a good throw. And watch, look at the first base umpire. He is staring right at that play. Adrian puts on the brakes and just barely gets back and hangs onto the bag and keeps his fingers on it. Look at Mark Carlson, the first base. He's got his nose right on that play. You know, when you watch the umpires closely on plays like that, what you find is they are generally always in position to make the call. They're not perfect and they won't always get the call, but it's not because they're lazy and out of position.
Pop up by Fielder. 1 away.
There's a changeup that Prince waited on and just got underneath it.
Couple of pop-ups tonight for Fielder. He was hit by the pitch in the 4th inning, but another tough night at the plate for him. Here's Elvis Andrus. Doubled in the 2nd and then rolled into a double play in the 4th. Fister has a pitch count well in check in this 6th inning. And he has basically done what he has wanted to do tonight. He's had to work around a lot of base runners. Rangers have a hit, at least 1 hit in every inning. And he's jumped ahead of Andrus 0-2. We've had some tight ones in this series so far. Walk-off win Monday night by the Rangers. Andrus strikes out. 2 away.
You just get a great look at a guy who is truly a pitcher. Mixes up his pitches well, keeps the ball away from the middle of the plate. Mentioned that he's 2nd among active pitchers with more than 1,000 innings and fewest walks per 9 innings. He hasn't walked anybody tonight. Made a lot of good pitches and thrown a lot of pitches that have fooled Ranger hitters. Rangers have 7 hits, so he's spread them out pretty well to only have given up 1 run. But he really knows how to pitch. He's a guy coming into this season with a career .342 ERA. It's about the same now. It's .351, probably a little bit lower in the 6th inning of having only given up 1 run.
One of the hits he gave up, a double to Moreland, as this one bounces off the plate. Beltre scampers to 2nd, and that wild pitch puts him in scoring position. So the Rangers with a big opportunity in this tie game. The double that Moreland hit in the 4th inning just missed going out.
The 2nd time in this series that Castro has tried to backhand the ball in the dirt instead of smothering it with his chest protector.
Fister's 2-0. Big bender, and it's 2-1.
That's a good curveball. No, it's a good curveball when it's right down the middle of the plate and the hitter still is fooled by it.
Time asked for, granted. Moreland will reset. Now Fister had given up 9 home runs coming into tonight's game. Runs out a little tight, and now a good hitter's count here for Moreland.
And Fister knows that and is not 100% certain that he's going to throw a fastball right here. In fact, with first base open, I'd be surprised if he did throw him a fastball to hit. Wouldn't be a bit surprised to see that curveball. And there it is.
And Moreland went, so it's a full count. Doesn't have to give in to him here either, right? I mean,
not with first base open. I mean, he could throw him one if he wants after that slow one to try to sneak one in there. But I think he feels just as comfortable throwing his curveball for a strike or getting a swing than he does throwing his fastball.
When you played, were you did you partake in that game in your at bats? Were you anticipating fastball, breaking ball here and there?
I was basically the kind of hitter, pretty average hitter. I look for a fastball on every pitch and tried to adjust to a curveball.
Big 3-2.
Atta boy, laid off at that time.
Inning continues, 2 men on now.
left fielder, Jared Hoying.
Pretty night at the ballpark.
Yeah, we've had fantastic weather, and we have seen some of the most entertaining baseball of the year. Breaking ball to Hoying for strike one. Mitch had to walk off on Monday. Yesterday, it was Ian Desmond's 2-run homer in the 8th that broke the tie and ultimately led to the Rangers' 4-3 win. 1-1. Rangers have won all 8 head-to-head games this season against the Astros and have won 12 in a row dating back to last year here at Globe Life Park. But in another real tight fight tonight with the Houston Astros.
And a combination of 70-mile-an-hour curveballs and 88-mile-an-hour fastballs has been a tough match for the hitters tonight.
2-2. That curveball seems to be getting better as the night wears on.
A high of 89 and a low of 68. Big differential between the slow curveball and the little bit below average fastball.
Hoying bounces it foul down the first baseline. Marlon Gonzalez down there at first base in position to make a play regardless where that one would have ended up. Turns out to be a bit of a break, that it was foul. You see some activity now out in that Astros bullpen. Hard throwing Michael Feliz. 2-2.
Oh boy, they're lucky there's a screen in front of that dugout. Oh. Tyler White, Lance McCullers, they're taking a deep breath right now. Thankful that head gate was right there.
Hoying off the handle down the left field line, but foul.
It's tough to be right on the fastball and right on the curveball. You're either going to be a little bit out in front of the curveball, a little bit behind the fastball. You just hope you can fight the fastball off. That's what Jared did right there. Is 88-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, fouled it off, fought it off.
It's been a real good battle right here between Hoying and Fisters. This will be pitch number 100 tonight for the tall right-hander, and he buries it. It's a full count. Checking out his options. It appears Pfister is nearing the end of his evening. The payoff pitch. Bouncer first. Foul again.
Seems like the longer the bat lasts, at bat lasts, the better chance you've got of getting the pitch you like. Jared's fouled off some tough curveballs, fought off some tough fastballs. And maybe this is where you get the hanger or get the fastball out over the plate, something you can drive. 10th pitch of the at-bat. Great battle.
Runners will be on the move. Beltre at second, Moreland at first. The 3-2 bouncer up the middle. Altuve there on a knee. Inning over. Rangers threatened in the 6th, but couldn't get that go-ahead run home. We'll go to the 7th inning, tied at 1.
Let's look at your four-game summary. Third pitch of the game tonight from you, Darvish, and Springer deposits it in left field. So far, that's been basically it for the Astros. ROUGNED ODOR with this big single set up the Rangers run in the third inning. Moved to second on the throw, and then Ian Desmond gave himself up. The little RBI ground out up the middle. That's how the Rangers got their run. And that's it, a 1-1 game as we go to the 7th, and Tom Wilhelmsen comes on for the 19th time this year. A 2-2 record and a .937 ERA.
Yeah, we're talking about trying to get Tom and Sean Tolleson back in the groove, helping out late inning bullpen, the late inning role of the bullpen. Both of those guys have been successful in the past. They've struggled early in the season. Sean coming back after a long absence, pitched well in the 6th inning, had a walk and a couple of strikeouts, finished the inning with 2 strikeouts. Now Tom will try to come in and hold the Astros here in the 7th.
Now his first pitch to Marwin Gonzalez, who's 0 for 2 tonight, flied out to center, struck out in the 4th. Oh no. And that one bounced up the middle. A base hit for Gonzalez. Certainly has been the case in this series. There is very little breathing room for either team at any point. Hey, the Boston Red Sox, they'll be coming to town to face your Texas Rangers on Friday, June 24th. The first 20,000 fans to the game will get a pair of Major League glasses, courtesy of Papa John's. Stick around after the game for a baseball movie-themed fireworks show. You can get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com or calling 972-RANGERS. Dialing it right now. Here's Jason Castro, and strike 1 from Wilhelmsen. Castro grounded out in the 5th inning. 0 for 1 with a walk. Wilhelmsen will have to reset. Third pitcher of the night. Darvish went 5 innings, left for precautionary reasons after the 5th inning, and then Tolleson with a scoreless 6th. Oh, and 2 to Castro. He suffered through 3 consecutive seasons of at least 100 losses with the Astros. He was a first-round draft pick. Ultimately made his way up to the big leagues just in time to have to go through all of that as he takes strike 3.
Dropped that curveball right on the outside part of the plate.
Nicely done by Wilhelmsen. Well, it's been the night of the big breaking ball.
Yeah, it's kind of the hallmark of Doug Fister's game tonight. Spot his fastball and make some great pitches with that curveball.
Quick check-in of Marwin Gonzalez. Does have a little speed, 7 steals this year. So Wilhelmsen would do well to keep him close. Oh, extra pause at the belt, and the pitch to Springer. That one threw into right field, a base hit. Gonzalez took a big turn, but it'll hold at second base. Excellent work by Mazar to get that one in quickly and make sure that Marwin Gonzalez doesn't get the extra base.
Yeah, he's hoping that Marwin took one more step toward third and he throw behind him and try to get him as he's going back to second. Charges it nicely. Gonzalez might have thought about going. Stops. Nomar throws behind him, but a little bit high. That, as a base runner, is not exactly the way they draw it up. They would prefer that you look at the third base coach and don't look back to the right fielder, so you don't have to break stride to go to third base. He chose to watch the right fielder. Wouldn't have mattered. That's all he was going to do anyways, go to second. If the third base coach looks familiar, it's because he should be. That's Gary Pettis, longtime coach at first and third for Ron Washington.
Rich Dower, see him backing away from first base on the other side of the diamond. And now here's a real tough out. Altuve 1 for 2 with a walk. And smash down the third baseline. It's a fair ball. Gonzalez will get home, and that one crossed up Hoying for a moment. They're going to go ahead and wave Springer. He'll score. Altuve hung up, and he'll be content to be the second out of the inning. But a 2-run double by Altuve, and it's put the Astros in front.
Altuve loves to hit early in the count. He was ready for that fastball. Whipped it pretty well down the left field line. Ball was down and in, kind of where Tom was trying to throw it with some movement. Altuve still able to hit it.
So Carlos Correa with the bases empty. Nothing just fair. One strike pitch from Wilhelmsen. Bender on the inside corner. And he gets a favorable call from Holberg. 0-2 to Correa. Correa's had a tough night, 0 for 3 at the plate. In fact, it has not been a real good series for him. Hitless in 10 tries. Batting in the third spot of the order. The Rangers have been able to contain him well. Of course, you come into a series with a team that was red hot. And there's one guy, Altuve, who they knew they would have to try and slow down, but nobody in the league has had much success doing that. Correa, one of the others. Two runs across in the 7th inning. Broke with a 1-1 tie. Helmsen delivers and call it in. 2-2. Can't get Correa to chase. Full count. Well, they have worked 5 walks tonight, have the Astros. Yesterday, worked 6 walks. So they have had base runners aplenty. And there's a bouncer down to first. Moreland right there on top of it, and that ends the inning. But the Astros and Jose Altuve with his 2-run double have taken the lead. We go to the bottom of the 7th. And now, greater coverage of baseball, sponsored by T-Mobile. How about the walk-off wins last night? 5 of them. Joey Votto delivering for the Reds. Trace Thompson, that's Klay Thompson's brother, did that for the Dodgers. Most walk-off hits in a single night since 2011. And Kelly Johnson, he just keeps moving. Love to be his real estate agent. That's 10 different stops now as he becomes a Met. That's since 2011.
That guy's been on a 5-year road trip.
Man. Michael Feliz has come on to pitch for the Astros. So Doug Fister done after 6 very good innings, and now it's into that Houston bullpen. Feliz making his 16th appearance this year. And Bobby Wilson smacks it down to third. Valbuena able to handle it, however, 1 away.
Hard hit ball. Very nice play by Valbuena. Nice backhanded play.
All right, let's check in with Dana Larson again. Chevy game break. So some more close games and excitement forthcoming. Here a 3-1 game is now ROUGNED ODOR, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Feliz with that hard breaking ball, and his catcher Jason Castro was working with him tonight. He told me yesterday that they have several pitches that they'll try to call, but it's really just the same thing every time. And he says Feliz he just grabs the ball and he throws it. He's got the heater, which is fairly obvious right there, 97 miles per hour. But this little breaking ball, Castro says he has to be on his toes. He's not real sure exactly what it is Feliz will be throwing. And there's the curve. Or at least what looked like a curve.
I would be very comfortable calling that a curveball.
2-2 to Odor. That's way in. Now Rangers just want some base runners at this point, trailing by a couple. They have had runners in every inning. In fact, they've left 7 on base. Obviously, the Astros anticipating Odor to pull it on the ground, but he hits it in the air the other way. RASMUS to his left. 2 away. All right, Jimmy John's delivery of the game. This is one of the key moments tonight. Ian Desmond in center field. Long throw on the money to get Jason Castro. Wow. That was in the third. Kept it at that time a 1-0 game. Desmond then in the bottom of the inning drove in the Rangers' only run to tie it with the ground ball to second base. He has since singled and stolen a base as well. It pops this one up. And RASMUS this time will give way to the center fielder Carlos Gomez. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Michael Feliz. Off to the 8th inning we go with the Astros leading your Rangers 3-1.
progressive fan of the game. Guys, I would give it to this guy, but I got to give it to Terry because she came in all the way from Hawaii to watch who?
Came in to see you.
You Darvish, of course. All right, big you Darvish fan. How did you become a you Darvish fan?
Oh, I have been waiting to come to Texas to see the Rangers play. I've been a you Darvish fan for the last 3 years. And I watch him on TV all the time.
There we go. Congratulations. Here's the bag. Safe travels back. Anything else you like to say, Terry?
Yes, go Rangers. We're going to get this one.
There we go. All right, Dave.
Good work, Noxie. 8th inning. And Colby Rasmus is in a hole 0-2 to Wilhelmsen. Rasmus walked back in the first inning. He is flat out to left, grounded out to second base. Got off to a real big start for the Astros this year. Has cooled a little bit. And he strikes out swinging to start the 8th inning. 1 away. Hey, hit the road with the Rangers this season. Rangers destination travel packages offer first-class hotel accommodations, great game tickets, a private meet and greet with the current Rangers player, and VIP ballpark tour. Whole lot more. Check into it. This season there are trips to St. Louis, Boston, Denver. Go to TexasRangers.com/destinations for more information and to book your trip. Balbuena. He had a double in the 4th, walked in the 6th inning, has also struck out tonight. And he wants time quickly. That was not the time that says I'm tired of standing in the box. It looked like something with the bat or his gloves that he wanted to adjust. 1-1 the count. Wilhelmsen came on last inning. Eventually allowed that 2-run double by Jose Altuve, which broke the tie. It's been a long time since the Astros have won a ball game here at Globe Life Park. Rangers have won 12 straight at this ballpark. It's the second longest home winning streak they've had against any opponent. The longest ever was 15 in a row over the Yankees back in the late 80s, early 90s. They're approaching that level quickly with this Astros club. But Tom, it just feels different, and it's got to be because they're division foes, and of course both in state and both relevant, right? I mean, both teams, certainly the Rangers more so at the moment than the Astros, but both teams to be factors in this division.
Yeah, there's been times over the years where, well, if you win 10 or 11 in a row against anybody, the very best team against the very worst team, it's unusual. It's tough to win that many games in a row, no matter what the circumstances. But there's been some times where one team is up and one team's down, and you might expect the better team to dominate. But I think the unusual thing about the record in this series right now is that both teams are very good right now, and it's even tougher to expect one team to beat a very good team that many straight times. Just very unusual.
Back-to-back strikeouts, and Wilhelmsen drops a curve in for strike 1 to Gaddis. Well, you take the 8 games out of the equation. The Astros are 28 and 24. Very respectable. Gaddis rips it foul for strike 2. Unfortunately, from the Astros standpoint, that they can't remove those 8 games. Ooh, how about this play right here?
Nice play.
There you go. Gaddis slashes it foul to the other side.
Well, those 8 games creating problems, though, for the Astros. They're 9 games out in the West coming into play tonight. Bounces up there. 2-2. Rangers, meanwhile, leading the division. Have a 4-game cushion over the Seattle Mariners. Angels and Oakland A's at the bottom of the division, 10 and 11 games out, respectively. Gaddis pops it up. Shallow left. Andrus out there on the shortstop, collects it to complete the 1-2-3 inning for Tom Wilhelmsen. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Mazara, Beltre, Fielder coming up.
Do as we head to the bottom of the 8th, trailing the Astros by a score of 3-1. This is a 4-game set between these two teams, which means the finale will take place tomorrow here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. It is an early 1 o'clock first pitch here on Fox Sports Southwest. A couple of undefeateds towing the rubber for their respective teams. Colin McHugh and Martin Perez getting the ball for the Astros and the Rangers tomorrow. 1 o'clock first pitch once again right here on Fox Sports Southwest. A big thank you to the fine folks at AT&T High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for the finale of 4 between these two teams, guys.
Right on. Thanks, Emily. Maybe if things go well in these remaining couple of innings, and they've got some work to do, the Rangers could be going for something special tomorrow. Nomar Mazara sends it into center field, a base hit.
Yeah, so much for the lefty coming in to face the lefty. Second hit for Nomar. Also has a well-stroked out to left field.
Third baseman, Beltre.
2-hit night for Nomar Mazara. Now that gets the potential tying run to the plate for the remainder of this inning. Adrian Beltre, 1 for 3 tonight, steps in. Tony Sipp in relief, a left-hander, and despite that, you know, not used really as a situational lefty per se. In fact, he's done an amazing job of the last couple of years. It allows a 197 batting average to lefties and a 197 batting average to righties. That's a pretty even split right there.
One of those guys you don't have to take out if you don't want to, and a right-hand hitter comes up there, not just a situational specialist.
He's been a big part of their bullpen success in recent years. Lefty's 1-strike pitch. And that's just a bit off the plate. It's his 26th appearance. He's given up a .260 batting average against this year, so the number's not quite as good as they have been in the last 2 seasons. He last pitched on Sunday back in Houston against the Oakland A's. Beltre a little frustrated. He gets back in the box. 2-2 the count. Astros got a couple of runs in the top of the 7th to take the lead. The Rangers have delivered some late inning magic the first 2 games of this series. 2-2 pitch. And that one is blasted down to third. Balbuena stays with it to get 1 at second. The relay, and it pulls Gonzalez off the bag. So yeah, Beltre hustles it out.
That's some kind of a play just to get 1 out. Beltre smashed that ball. It took a nasty hop, and Balbuena picked it, almost turned a double play. Looked like Adrian Beltre on that play. Right in the tip of his glove. That's a nice play. Who knows, depending on what happened after that, that could be a game-saving play right there. Fortunately, though, they didn't turn it. And you still have the tying run coming to the plate.
Yeah, a double play there would have really taken the wind out of the sails of the Rangers, but as it is, you just swap Beltre for Mazara. And here's Prince Fielder. And a breaking ball in there for strike 1. For years, there have been arguments about whether or not there is anything truly to a player being clutch. This fielder bounces this one through into right field, a base hit. Beltre will stop at second, and now the tying runs are on base in this 8th inning.
Yeah, well hit ball by Prince. Not a lot of holes out there with guys shading over that way, but he hit it hard enough to where no one could get there in time to catch it.
Prince does his job, keeps the line moving.
Did Adrian do something? Looked like he's coming off the field. Wow, he went around second base awkwardly, and he's coming off the field. Looked like he took a couple of awkward steps as he got to second base.
That is no good at all. Ryan Rua had just come on to pinch run for Fielder. We'll take a look.
Something happened. He grabbed his left hamstring, it looked like.
You see the way he was going into second, about a step or 2 before he got to the bag. An awkward reaction right there. Yep.
And maybe he caught it before it really happened. And hopefully it's a precautionary thing.
Well, he's scheduled to get the day off tomorrow. Well, we'll get a pinch runner. We'll get resolution to the situation when we come back. 3-1 game. Pat Neshek in relief for the Astros, and the side armor slings it in there for a strike to Elvis Andrus. 25th appearance, a 2-0 record. The ERA at 2.89 for Neshek.
Neshek's been tough to hit. Only 10 hits in 18 2/3, but 4 of those hits have been home runs.
0-2 to Andrus. Scoreless outings in 13 of his last 14 appearances. We saw Beltre leave, and Profar is on to run for him at second base. Rua had just come in to pinch run for Fielder at first, moments before we saw Adrian Beltre walk off the field. The 0-2. Bouncer third base, slowly hit. They'll go to second one. They'll relay to first. In time, in a big double play. Turned by the Astros. Neshek got what he needed. And so now to the 9th inning we go. Rangers running out of time tonight. With the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, and a whole lot more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. 2-run game tonight. Astros leading. They get those go-ahead runs in the 7th. And now in the 9th inning, they will contend with Luke Jackson for his 5th appearance of the year. Jackson would love to have himself a tidy one here. Bottom of the order coming for the Astros. Profar coming to pinch run, stays in the game at third for Beltre. And he will get the start there tomorrow. It was planned for Beltre to have tomorrow off with the day game following tonight. It just seemed like an opportunity to get him some rest. Profar was out early today taking ground balls at third, just as he had the previous 2 days. Been out here for early work at first base.
That's a pretty valuable guy that can go to the minor leagues after not playing for a couple of years as a shortstop, get called up to take ODOR's place for a week or 10 days as a second baseman, then practice 2 days and get a spot start at first base, get the day off and end up playing third base at the end of one game and probably tomorrow. That's pretty talented. And you know, you can do it with anybody. You can put anybody in any position, but with Profar, you put him there and you expect that he's going to play very well, just like he did at first base. He's, as people have said, he's a baseball player. You want to play him in center field, you play center field. If both catchers got hurt, put him behind the plate, he'd probably be a pretty good catcher. Just one of those guys. Knows how to play anywhere.
2-2 from Jackson. And this one hit out toward right field, but right there for it, Mazzaro. 1 out.
And we've seen Ian Desmond go from shortstop, learn how to play left field in spring training, and become a center fielder. Another guy could probably play first if you put him there, third if you wanted him to, and the way he throws that kind of from behind the ear kind of throw would be perfectly suited to be a catcher. A lot of versatility.
Yeah, a lot of versatility, a lot of talent with those two guys. Marwin Gonzalez. He takes strike 1 from Luke Jackson. Gonzalez singled against Wilhelmsen to start that 7th inning and came in to score the first of 2 runs on the Altuve double. His run, the go-ahead run in this one tonight, he offered at that pitch 0-2. He's a versatile guy. Shortstop turned first baseman, third baseman, utility man. And that kind of guy who ends up playing pretty much every day. Even though it's not at the same position every day, he brings, you can say, oh, well, he brings the same kind of value. He's in the lineup playing every day. No, he brings a little more value, because he allows you to give guys days off here and there, because he can fill in anywhere you need it. 1-2. That's a blast out toward right field, and Mazzaro can't quite get to it cleanly. So Gonzalez pedaling to second, and he'll have a 1-out double.
Just left that curveball up a little bit. Wanted probably to get it down below the knees. Instead, it hung up above the knees. Gonzalez has had some good swings in this series.
Time for the AT&T high-speed replay. Difference in the game today. Speaking of doubles, that one right down the third baseline, just fair. Brought home 2. Eventually hung up between second and third base. What would be the second out of the inning, but that was the difference tonight, at least to this point. Jason Castro. That one just beneath the zone. This is the first appearance in this series for Luke Jackson. For that matter, on this homestand. He last pitched last Wednesday in Cleveland. Right-handers 1-0. Just misses. Luke has gone a little bit longer in each of his last 2 relief appearances. In fact, 2 1/3 innings each of his last 2 times out. Recalled from Round Rock in mid-May. This is only the 5th time he has been used by Jeff Bannister. Now Rangers reporting Adrian Beltre left with tightness in his left hamstring. He'll be reevaluated tomorrow. Will bounce her back to the mound. Jackson gets a handle on it and will get the out at first. Marwin Gonzalez held up at second base. Once it was bobbled, I thought Gonzalez would be off to third.
The only way he could have gotten to third would be if he left right off the bat. If he leaves now, he's probably not going to get there. Not a hard hit ball. Looked like it got in on Castro a little bit, so it wasn't that hard for Luke Jackson to knock it down.
Big night for Springer. He scored 2 of the 3 runs. homer to lead off the game and takes strike one from Jackson. On that last half inning, in the bottom of the 8th, when Rua came on to run for Fielder and Profar had to come on to run for Beltre, that dramatically depleted Bannister's bench. As Elvis will pick up the grounder, throw it to first. The only extra they have to pinch hit in this ninth will be Brian Holiday. We go to the 9th. Last chance for the Rangers coming up. They trail by 2.
On the way as they trail 3-1. Dana Larson here reminding you we've got the post-game show coming up. Rangers Eye presented by Frontier Communications. Mark McLemore will join me as we look back at this game. We've seen great defensive plays, solid pitching, but a few scares on the injury front. We will want to hear from Jeff Bannister and the key players in this one. And we'll set up tomorrow's finale as we get set to say goodbye to the Houston Astros for almost 2 months. It's the post-game show and it's coming up right after the game. We'll get it back over now to Dave and Tom for the finish, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Dana. A lot to talk about tonight after this one. Mitch Moreland to start things off in the 9th inning, and he takes a breaking ball from Will Harris. Harris, the 5th pitcher of the night. It's his 27th relief appearance. And the presumptive closer for the Astros. Their manager, A.J. Hinch, hasn't really named a closer. All we know really is that Luke Gregerson is no longer that man. Hinch has said, well, he's going to play the matchups and use the guys as he feels they will be best utilized for the time being. Harris has been absurdly effective this year, though. The only run he has allowed crossed home plate when he was out of the game. An inherited runner allowed to score by Gregerson. And that was in his first outing of the year. The 2-1.
He's got a good assortment of pitches. He throws a fastball that cuts. It's a cut fastball. Last one was 93 miles an hour. And a good hard curveball. Now with those 2 key pitches, nothing is straight. The cutter moves into a lefty. The curveball breaks down.
3-1, and this one popped up. Will Rasmus have room? No. And Moreland has new life. That's a break. Down by 2. Rangers need to get somebody on base. Harris, a guy who came up in 2012 with the Rockies. Tough place to pitch. Pitched to an ERA over 8. And had some success in Arizona for a couple of seasons. Now toiling in his second campaign with the Astros. 3-2. Moreland hits it high in the air to center. And Gomez will squeeze it one away.
Outfielder Jared Hoying.
Well, now Hoying again. Jeff Bannister just doesn't have many options in this ninth inning with Rua already in the lineup and Profar already in the lineup off the bench. Let's see, Brian Holiday, the only bat he has left, and of course he's the backup catcher. Hoying 0 for 3. One strike pitch. And he lays off the breaking ball. Made his big league debut May 23rd against the Angels. Had his first big league hit against the Pirates 5 days later. He's got to find his way on in this ninth inning. It's 2-1. Harris finds the outside corner. And, you know, there's been a little extra tonight given by Pat Holberg, the plate umpire. He's been afraid to call one just off the edge, which is where that pitch was. They're going to ask for it out a little further this time, and Hoying bounces it through into left field, a base hit. Well, they threw it outside, and Hoying just went with it.
Well, they had the shift on. Shortstop was over on the right side. Third baseman was way over, which is fine if he hits a lot of balls there, but he's probably not going to pull a 93-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner to the right side, especially with 2 strikes. With 2 strikes, you're going to take a little bit more of a defensive swing. And if you're going to throw him there and you've got the shift on, then you're doing him a favor.
So that's huge. Gets the potential tying run to the plate and a hard breaking ball in there for a strike to Bobby Wilson. Wilson homered yesterday. Another hit tonight, and he has scored the Rangers' only run. It's this one in the air to center. Gomez will play it. And there are 2 gone.
Second baseman, ROUGNED, ODOR.
ROUGNED ODOR is the guy who delivered the walk-off hit Monday night. The double off the wall in left. Opportunity tonight with one big swing, perhaps, to tie this game of the night. If he can get that pitch to hit. One for 4 tonight, singled in the third. One strike pitch from Harris, and it's 1-1. Big crowd again tonight. Nearly 38,000 paid tonight. $30,000 on Monday, 32,000 yesterday, and they have enjoyed some very exciting baseball this week. Rangers down to their final strike tonight. Whatever it takes. Great speed at first and Hoying. 1-2 to ODOR. And he'll get another shot. Boy, if ODOR could somehow find his way on, let's take a look at Hoying. It would get Ian Desmond to the plate. Fangraphs has recently tried to quantify clutch. Number 1 in the game, Ian Desmond. Be fun to get him up here. ODOR waves at strike 3. And Desmond will be left in the on-deck circle. That one does it. The Astros have finally broken their long curse here at Globe Life Park. A 3-1 win. Puts an end to a 12-game winning streak by the Rangers here at home against their in-state rivals. But the Rangers still with a shot to win this series tomorrow afternoon. We'll be back with more in just a moment.